Hello and welcome to today's show. Now I'm going to try to keep this short, but in the last video that I posted, it was on building this cold wet proofer. And it is doing just wonderful for what I designed it for and built it for. It was an experimental concept. It's working. I'm learning kind of how to tweak it depending on the various stages of my sausage production or my salame, depending on what I'm doing. I'm trying to really maximize that uniformity in the moisture content so I don't have that real hard rind. I can produce that at will with a different machine. So anyway, I want to get to this video, but first I just want to say it's working fine. It's working fine. I just need some more volume. Now that I got that done, now that I got my introduction done, what am I talking about my volume? How can I get more volume out of this fixed refrigerator? Well, first of all, if you remember from the previous video, this was just an old beer refrigerator or a cooler, or I also kept cold drinks. I didn't really drink that much beer, except in summertime when I get kidney stones. I used the beer to kind of dissolve some of those. But I really didn't need it for anything, so it was just sitting in the garage, getting rusty and dirty and nasty, and I cleaned it up, brought it in, and I thought, well, this will be a good one to try this concept, and it does in fact work. But now it's a little bit small. Obviously, I wouldn't want to go out and buy a brand new refrigerator and monkey with it until I knew that what I had was going to work, my basic approach. And I've not seen anybody do this yet. So anyway, so let's look at what I'm talking about, how to get the volume out of it. Well, this is the door. And when I picked this up, this is a Sears unit. It was a damaged or discounted unit I picked up for just a little bit. And if you'll notice along the edge of the door, you see that gasket is not sitting perfectly aligned the way it should, and there's not really a way to scoot it back in there now that it's all foamed in place. This white plastic stuff I discovered when I was drilling in the back to build the wire conduit pathways or the protected pathways through the skin of the box. This stuff is very, very thin. It's unbelievable that it feels as sturdy as it is and yet is as thin as it is. I would say it's about, I'd say it's less than a bubble pack, your security bubble pack on stuff that they don't want you to shoplift from stores, that stuff it takes you forever to cut into and get. I don't think it's that thick. So it worked very easy. In fact, I cut it using just a little box cutter, just went around the edge. And in a minute, I'll show you, this actually was a little overfilled on this side, was pooched up a little bit. And in the back of the body itself, I have some places where the liner's puffed up a little bit and the sides are caved in. They're a little bit non-straight. So anyway, it was a good refrigerator. I've had it for 10 years. It was worth experimenting with just to try to see if my concept would work. Now, this is what it looks like after I took that little knife and cut off the edge. And you can see how just there's a little radius as it was going up to the side of that. Anyway, just come in here, and that's just what it looks like after I pulled it apart. It separated fairly well, except at the dividers where they were foamed in and they broke off. And it's a little hollowed out here inside this form. So not a real big deal. Just kind of went around the edge, trim it with a knife. And I think I used a little Jap sander to just kind of take that edge down just a touch to make it a little flatter. My initial idea before I cut it was just to cut this off and make an internal lid that you see up here and lay on top there and it's pop riveted. But this stuff is just way, way, way too thin. It's just super weak. There would be no way I could pop rivet that. And it really didn't want to lay exactly flat in places even after I trimmed that off, that little edge that you see, because it was overfilled with foam. So let's take a look at the next one. It did give me, and this is where I got my volume. Now the internal part of the refrigerator essentially was the same cubic footage, but my problem was with that inside liner poaching out there, I really didn't have a way to make use of it. I could use that front separating rod that I used to kind of keep that 1x3 pushed up against the side of the liner, but I couldn't hang any sausage off of it because it was pretty close to the edge of this liner. So I got about 2 3/4 inch out of this by cutting this off. Now here's what I did instead of pop riveting. I also had a little of this in stock. This was from a previous project. This is 3M VHB, a very high bond, I think it is, body tape for an auto body to put trim on with, trim tape, whatever you want to call it. This was bought at either an O'Reilly's or an AutoZone, something like that. It sticks pretty good. I didn't want to close it completely off and not have any breathing or expanding room inside there. So it's pretty close. I mean, it's not perfection by any means, but it would work. It would work. And so I just want to show you that little picture there. And of course, there it is, getting ready to go together. Now, what you see, this little brown fuzzy looking stuff, that's actually fiberglass information from another project. This is something else I had left over. I'm a little bit of a pack rat in that regard. I keep a lot of stuff to build with because you never know when you might need it. And anyway, this is just a little bit of a water heater wrap insulation. I just peeled a little piece of it off and kind of peeled the layers of cotton candy goodness out of the fiberglass and kind of pooched it in the hollow spaces because it was a little bit low right in through here. And I figured that I was going to be a little high on the edges with that, also with that little bit of tape thickness, so it just wouldn't hurt to put just a little bit more insulation underneath that panel. Now, that panel I bought was a piece of 3x8 ductwork material, raw ductwork material. I get a good price on it. It's about $30. It was cheaper than trying to go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy a panel. I couldn't find a panel. I needed it's like 17.5 by 27.5, something like that. So it's kind of a little odd size. I'd have to get like a bigger piece, and it just wasn't going to work for me. So I just bought that. Have a lot of that left over. I think it's 26 gauge. It's pretty thick. It may be 36. It's something 6. I don't know that it really matters. It's whatever was available of the gauge of material, and just cut that out with a pair of tin snips. Measured out, squared up, cut out with a pair of tin snips. And here we see the last little picture just about, and you can see that little bit of bump and a bump and a bump. That's the tin snips. I started to flatten it out with what I call the duck bills. They're a little flange tool. I don't know the official name. Back when I was doing HVAC, we just called them duck bills, because they're just like a little flange on the end of a pair of pliers that you can squeeze. But I didn't figure it was going to bother me a whole lot, and just went ahead and taped her down just like you saw, put it to the edge. I did pre-paint this and let it sit in the sunshine, and I thought it would cure pretty good, but I don't think it'll show up on your screen. But I touched it and I got a little bit of a stripe right down here where it was still wet, and I had to repaint that after I got her put together. And just taped up the door, masked it off with tape I had left over from a previous project, just something I had in stock, and painted her after I got her on. The last bit, the paint was about the end of a can. Again, I had that in stock sitting on a shelf somewhere, and I just sprayed it as it started to sputter, kind of give it that little textury look to it, so it didn't look so shiny or whatever. But anyway, that's about all I had to show on it. And like I say, the whole idea was to get a little bit more volume. Here we are. This pole, I wanted to use this little rod that comes across here, and because my door went in, pooched in this area and kind of stopped right here, I could possibly hang it, but it'd have to be like a 1/2 inch in diameter, because there's no way for it to fit around the door, and you need a little bit of airspace to go around that too. So anyway, there she is, filling up fast. She's filling up fast. Anyway, do find that I run my little sausage is a little shorter. That is a sopressata of sorts. It is a salami of sorts. And so I have this cut. Actually, this is half a casing, half of my normal 18 inch or whatever it is, 20 inch casing, 2 inch diameter filled. And just hung her in there, cut them in half, pinch them up there, and I can get to approximate 1 pound sausages off of this. Now they're going to shrink. These started out with about a 20 ounce size stuff, but by the time I do my reduction in weight, we should find out if it could be close to about a pound a piece for those. So anyway, that's that. Appreciate you watching, and thanks for coming by and viewing my channel. Please tell your friends and everybody. YouTube hasn't monetized me, and you might want to keep me as a secret to keep that from happening, but stuff like this costs money. even the recipes, it's not all turn out perfectly fine the way they are. So we got to work on that kind of stuff, and the culture. It just so anyway. The advertisement is the way most of us who have a YouTube channel would have a little bit of offsetting expense money. I don't have that. I have going on, what is it, November, I think it was, or something like that, of last year I put in to join the program. Got everything. I'm waiting on stage 3. They just want to prove it. Now, that may be because if you're a regular viewer to my channel, I also do some hunting stuff and some gun stuff, some archery stuff, some stuff around the house. They just may not like me. So I need your help, if you can, if you don't mind, to share me, let other people see me, post me around, post me to forums, let other people look at it. I'm a big boy. I can take a little criticism. I may delete it if I don't like it, but yeah, no, it's as long as we're not rude and that kind of stuff, we can discuss a lot of different stuff. It just takes a tremendous amount of time. You know, it just would help if I got a little bit of something going in here. I'm not trying to do this as really a commercial project, but if you like what you see and you want to see more of it, help a brother out. Tolerate a commercial, an ad sale, if they'll ever get around to monetizing me. Because right now, I think I'm one of the people they don't like. But anyway, I like you, and I appreciate you. Have a good, Good Friday tomorrow. So have a good day. Bye.